and Jelly Spoons, welcome back to Badgerworks. Today, this is another Airfix starter kit. This is the 1/72nd scale Hawker Hurricane Mark 1, and like all of the starter kits, it comes with some brushes and paints and whatnot. And there's a specific reason I'm going to build this one. I've had quite a few people ask me after other videos saying, do I sell models and dioramas and things, and the answer to that is no, I don't. But I thought it's given me an idea. Now there's a charity that I support, you may have seen a previous video, a charity called Models for Heroes, and they do sterling work. They basically collect models and modelling equipment, and they provide them to services charities to aid with the recovery of any kind of service-related illness, PTSD and physical disabilities and so on and so forth. And so I thought to myself it might be a nice little idea to build one of these models, put it on a little basic diorama, and then we're going to sell it. It will go on eBay when it's finished, and you can bid on it if you wish, and the money from that auction will go to Models for Heroes. So there we go. So there's going to be a little bit of a twist to this video. It's going to be more or less out of the box, but there's going to be a couple of little twists, and we'll see those as we go along. So let's open the box and have a look at what we've got, and then we'll talk about what else we're going to do with the model. So firstly, we've got the brush, the paints, and the brush. It's a standard Humbrol number 2 brush. These are quite nice little brushes. I will keep this. The paints and the glue I won't probably use for this, but you know, they're there if you don't have them. The instructions are fairly typical starter set fare. They're quite detailed, they're not bad at all. The one problem that they have is that they don't tell you where to put the decals. So they do on the back of the box have something of decal instructions, a little bit, but not a lot. Which can be a bit of an issue, but you know, we'll worry about that later. As for the decals themselves, they're fairly standard for these starter kits, not particularly a lot of decals. Some of these we will use and some of them we won't, and that's something I'm going to be covering a bit later on. There's a bit of a surprise. And the model itself, let's take it out the bag. As is usual with these things, 2 bags, which is slightly annoying. It does protect the clear parts, but it's another plastic bag. But yeah, let's have a look. Well, at first glance, it doesn't seem too bad. Yeah, the interior is not massively detailed, but it's not terrible. And you know, I mean, it's one of these things that once the canopy's on, you won't see it anyway. The outside looks quite nice. The wings are nicely detailed by the looks of it. There is a pilot. We will be using the pilot on this one because the canopy is going to be closed. Yeah, doesn't look that bad at all. Now, one of the reasons I've picked this model is these landing lights. One of the things that this is going to have is it's going to have working landing lights. So part of this build will be running fibre optic to these landing lights, and then down through a base into the underside of the diorama and into a battery. So hopefully that should be of interest to some of you. But yeah, the actual kit itself doesn't look too bad. Right, let's make a start. What I've got here are a couple of pieces of fibre optic cable that came out of an old toy. And what I'm going to do, I've got the wings here, and if I can get the things lined up, I'm going to drill a hole through here where the landing light goes, and then I'm going to run the fibre optic inside the wing, along here, and then out the bottom. Now there's a hole here where you can mount a stand, should you so wish. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to make that hole a bit bigger, and I'm going to use this as my stand. This is a part of an old pencil, a mechanical pencil. I should obviously need to clean the dolphins off of it, but that shouldn't be too difficult, and then I can polish it up. It has a nice little taper on the end, so what I'm hoping I can do is drill a little tapered hole and fix that like that, and that will allow us to run the fibre optics out and down and into the base. Now you might be wondering how I'm going to get the dolphins off of this pen. It's actually more simple than you might think. The way to do it is WD-40. You basically just give it a little bit of WD-40 and a bit of Scotch-Brite, and it will come right off. It does require a bit of elbow grease, but it will come off. I'll show you. There you go, you see? Bit of WD-40 on the Scotch-Brite and then just scrub it. There you go, I'll do the rest of that and then I'll drill the holes. Right, so I've drilled a hole in that now, and this will fit. It's a nice snug fit there. I won't glue it in just yet, but basically the fibre optics will run down the inside of the wings, down that tube and into the base. Okay, so to drill the hole, I'm using, I'm starting with a 0.5mm drill bit, and I'm just going to go in along the bottom of, there's a little lip here, so I'm going in the middle at the bottom of that. And drill through, and now I'm taking a slightly larger drill bit and just enlarging the hole like so, and then our fibre optic cable has got a nice little hole to go through, and then we can run it round and out the hole in the bottom.
So this is the nose cone where the propeller shaft would normally go through, but I'm going to try something a bit different with this. I'm going to put this motor on, which you may have seen in an earlier video. So basically this part here goes into the end of the fuselage like that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to drill this out so that this motor will fit inside it. So if we need to measure the motor with my handy vernier calipers here, and it's 4.1 millimeters. So I've got here a 4mm drill bit, and I'm going to open up this hole, and hopefully that will allow us to put the motor in. I'm not going to drill all the way through, but I'll drill down to about there, and that will put the motor in, and then we can put the prop on the end of it. Right, when I drilled that out, it was way too thin. So what I've done is taken a piece of 6mm styrene tube and sanded it down so that it will fit in the end of the fuselage. And now I've just got to glue it on. But I need to make sure that it's as straight as possible. Right, I think that will do us. Right, we'll leave that to dry and get on with the rest of it.
Drop the wall.
Right, so the next step is the decals. I'm not going to use a lot of these. I'm going to use a couple of them, but not many. And there's a reason. I've bought some aftermarket decals, and I'm going to show you those first. So this is the first set. These are models for Heroes decals. They sell them on their website. I think they're about £5 a sheet. And I thought what I would do, just as a matter of interest, is replace the roundels on the side of the fuselage, on the tops of the wings, with these Models for Heroes logos. So that's the first one. And I've also got these ones. These are from Hannant's, the Extra Decal series. And I'm going to use some of these to replace the identification numbers, and instead of having KWZ, we're going to have MFH, as in Models for Heroes. So that's what we're going to use for those. Now, to apply the decals, I want to talk a little bit about a piece of kit that I use that I've had some comments about. It's this. Some of you've seen me use this before in other projects. This is an Airwick wax burner. And the idea is that you turn it on, this plate heats up, it heats up this bowl, and you put a block of scented wax in it, and the wax melts and makes a nice smell. What they're also useful for is if you put some water in here, it keeps the water warm, and it is amazing when it comes to applying decals. Having a small supply of warm water makes a huge difference. So I'll put a link to this in the description below if you want to buy one. I have no affiliation with Airwick, it's just this is a very useful bit of kit. Yeah, I mean, I bought one of these a long time ago, and it's one of those things that you buy it and then you think, how did I ever do without it? So yeah, it's worth considering. You can also get like those little USB powered cup heaters and things like that, so really anything like that. But if you don't have a supply of warm water where you're working, this is a very good alternative. So we just turn it on, splash a bit of water in it, and leave it to warm up. And in about 5 minutes that water will be nice and warm, and it's perfect for applying decals.
I can't decide with this one whether to paint a white background for it, the one that goes on the side of the fuselage here. The ones on the wings I left because of the top roundels are quite muted. They're the blue and red, so I didn't put a backing on these, but this one I'm not so sure about. I don't know whether to put that on or not. I'll have to think about this for a minute, I think. I don't want it too bright, but then these side roundels are quite bright. I mean, they're white and yellow. I'll have to think about this.
Roosevelt said in a statement today that the Japanese have attacked Pearl Harbor, Hawaii from the air. I'll repeat that. President Roosevelt says that the Japanese have attacked Pearl Harbor in Hawaii from the air.
We will interrupt all programs to give you latest news bulletin. Stay tuned to this station.
And here is the finished article. I'm quite pleased with the way this has turned out. It's a fairly standard out of the box build as far as the kit goes. Obviously we've made some modifications with the decals, the lights and the motor, which is all seem to be working quite well, as you can see. So in the next video we'll be making a base for this model, and we'll also have the details of how, if you so wish, you can buy this model. It will be a charity auction, and the proceeds from that sale will go to Models for Heroes. So hopefully you'll stay tuned for that. In the meantime, I hope you've enjoyed this video, and I'll see you on the next one. Thanks very much for watching. Cheers. Bye.